Welcome to
Blog
Waves of
Talk Radio.
Welcome to Waves of Healing. We are dedicated to communicate to you and provide you with information of being aware and keep open mind to alternative ways of healing, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual. I'm your host, A.K.A, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. I'm a reconnected healing practitioner, a breast cancer victor, not victim, and the author of the book, Making the Breast of It. In order to learn more about me and my book, please visit my website at www.ilovemybreastcancer.com. All in one word, ilovemybreastcancer.com. And while you are there, please purchase my book and give a gift of love to somebody who went through breast cancer that you know, where they can learn how to reclaim their femininity back again and how to rebuild their self-confidence living with breast cancer or no breast, and how to accept their new image and love it, and realize that sexuality exudes from inside out and not from outside in. And the most important thing is that they will learn through the many exercises in the book how to connect to the spiritual aspect of life, where they learn that we women are not only our breasts in order to be viable, sexual human being. And this means a lot to a lot of us. So please visit my website. And also you can go and download for free 25 breast health tips, where if you apply few of them in your everyday life, you can prevent breast cancer. With that said, I would like to tell you how excited I am about my guest today. I can't even describe how excited I am. My guest today is Brad Wilson, also known as Bhava Ram, is a former NBC News war correspondent and the recipient of the prestigious Alfred I DuPont Award for his work inside Afghanistan during the Soviet occupation. The founder of Deep Yoga, based in San Diego, Ram is author of a new book, Warrior Pose, How Yoga Literally Saved My Life, which tells the story of his transformational journey of radical self-healing from a broken back, addiction, failed surgery, and stage 4 cancer using yoga science. When I read the book, I was totally flabbergasted, and I had to have Bhava as a guest on my radio show. So here we have him today. Brad, welcome to Waves of Healing. Are you there?
Yes, Leah, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, I'm telling you, I was so excited reading your book and finding how you heal yourself. I mean, this is unbelievable. I do yoga every day, but I do it for calming my body or exercising different poses. But I never knew that you can heal yourself really from cancer or broken bones or anything like this. So can you elaborate, how did you do that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First, who would have ever thought that a cynical and jaded war correspondent would ever embrace body, mind, spirit practices of yoga?
You got it.
It took me quite a while to get there, and I think it needs a little setup so that I can really share with your audience how I was able to heal through these miraculous sciences that yoga and Ayurveda, its sister science, offer us. I had broken my back in 1986, a hairline fracture shortly after I came out of Afghanistan. And I worked for 7 more years in chronic pain. The whole time, very type A, driven because my career completely identified me, Leah. It was my life. And I hid my pain by taking pain medications and drinking a little more heavily every night for 7 years, through the Persian Gulf War, through drug wars in South America, apartheid in Africa, chaos in Nicaragua and El Salvador, Vietnam and Cuba and beyond, all the while thinking I'm going to get better tomorrow. Think of all the war-wounded children you've seen. Get over yourself. Push forward. But finally, after 7 years of that, my body and my mind going into an abyss of suffering while my career is skyrocketing. I was in charge of all Asia for NBC News. In 1993, I was in the Philippines covering a story, and I leaned over to look at some videotape with my editor, and the hairline fracture from an accident I had 7 years earlier split wide open, started to cut into my spinal cord, and I blacked out. I was given major surgery back in the United States, and it failed, and I was declared permanently disabled. And that started years of profound and incredible darkness for me, pickled on Vicodin, Valium, Prozac, Ritalin, and a number of other drugs I can't even pronounce, drinking heavily, all to escape this horrible physical pain, but much worse, the emotional pain of having completely lost my identity and thinking I had no future.
Yeah.
Finally, after my little boy was born, despite all this, my only child, and I thought I had some hope for an identity, and I was going to be a daddy, and 3 months into that, I was diagnosed with that stage 4 cancer from exposure to depleted uranium covering the Persian Gulf War, and told I would not live for 2 years. Well, I got darker. Morphine was added. Profound guilt that I'm leaving this little boy's life. And I fell into this abyss of self-pity and anger and fear. When he was 2 years old and I was a few months from dying, he came to me. He was my only relationship then. And he said, "Get up, Daddy." And it cracked me open. It hit a place I didn't know that I had, Leah.
Wow.
I checked into a hospital to detox cold turkey thinking I need to die with dignity. I've turned into such a dark and demented soul. I need to get off all this medical dope and die with dignity. I went through that process, came out of that dazed and confused, and was invited into an experimental East-West mind-body clinic. And that's where I found yoga. And I knew immediately that it was my path to healing. It was a deeper inner knowing that had been cracked open by that little boy, listening more to my soul than my ego. And I soon found, as I began to study it, that yoga is so much more than we think of here in the West. It's not just postures that we do, stretching and breathing. It's a complete body, mind, spirit science of how to be a human being. And it involves realigning and harmonizing your life in all aspects of your life. So I started practicing 10 to 12 hours a day, meditation, positive visualization, exchanging all that anger and darkness for gratitude and humility and compassion and loving kindness and acceptance. And at the same time, I began fasting. First, I turned my meat and potatoes diet into pure vegetarianism, into veganism. And I started fasting for long periods of time. I called it organic chemotherapy. I took 80 pounds off my body because I had ballooned up so huge because I was just laying around eating and drinking like I was still covering wars, but the real war that I was covering was the war inside myself now. And so through these practices over 2 years of mind, body, spirit medicine, self-applied, I took 80 pounds off my body. I took 1,000 pounds of emotional darkness off of my body.
Wow.
And through the help of the yoga postures and being much lighter and having more balance and flexibility and strength, I healed myself from the pain of having a broken back. And I'm completely cancer-free, to the astonishment of the oncologists, and I've been that way for 15 years now, which is why I've devoted my whole life now to deep yoga and to helping other people own their power and live their truth and turn life's greatest obstacles into life's greatest blessings and opportunities.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? And I understand the doctors gave you like 2 years that you're going to live, and here you are outliving their prediction 15 years. How about that?
And just with you, I'm sure you can relate, given your experience and the incredible title of your book about how you've dealt with breast cancer through acceptance and love. And I've now found that mind, body, spirit medicine, I don't call it alternative medicine. I call it the real deal. I think that much of what we experience in Western medicine is alternative medicine. We just palliate. We give ourselves drugs to hide our conditions without ever taking charge of our lives.
Absolutely,
our medical
agree
system,
with you.
Our Western system kills over 200,000 people a year with botched or unnecessary surgeries, misprescribed medications, and so forth. And we find that whenever you bring yourself into a more natural state, you create a fertile ground for true and lasting healing to occur. But it takes commitment, motivation, and self-discipline to change your life.
I totally agree with you, because I believe that if God gave us this beautiful body, God gave us all the way how to sustain ourselves, how to heal ourselves as well. But with the Western medicine, all they prescribe is more medication and chemicals that kill more people than heal us. Isn't that sad?
Yes, it's not really working well, but, they can't make billions of dollars off of teaching people how to relax and how to eat better food. They can't make billions of dollars off of teaching us how to control our minds and reduce our stress and be more natural in our lifestyles.
Well, because they want to have the control over our life. And the pharmaceutical companies robbing us from our health and from our pocketbook. Because otherwise, as you said, there is no money if we heal ourselves. Did you know that in Japan, people go to doctors to keep them healthy? But in the Western civilization, we go to doctor when we are sick. Did you know that?
Yes, that's ironic. That's the practice in India, too, where yoga and Ayurveda come from. Ayurveda is more the clinical medical science. It comes from the same fountain of wisdom that helps you harmonize your life. And the whole practice is that the Ayurvedic practitioner keeps you balanced and healthy, keeps you on a good mental and physical diet and exercise program so that you're vibrant and doesn't just see you when you're ill and sick. And that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be, exactly. But again, there's no money in it, so why should they accept that? And besides that, we've been brainwashed about the magic pill, which some of us are more aware and understand that the magic pill is not the magic pill. It's a magic pill to kill us, not to heal us.
That's so true. And how many medications have been pulled off the market after they have killed or damaged people for the rest of their lives, even though it was proven by this so-called scientific method that the Western system so believes in and doesn't believe in anything else. Yet that very process has caused a lot of disasters in a lot of people's lives throughout the years.
I know. My breast cancer was because of prescription of a doctor of hormone therapy replacement. And when he prescribed it to me, he told me that I should take it for the rest of my life because it's good for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, 10 years later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I know exactly what you are talking about because I felt it on my own flesh and blood.
You know, there's a great debate there's been a great debate in our country over the last year about healthcare and the new healthcare system. And I think true healthcare needs to be more self-care. No matter how we feel about this political issue, that we need to rise up and take our bodies and our minds back from corporatism and mass marketing and take charge of our lives, and that is true health care. And the price is literally next to nothing when you compare it to what we pay for Western health care.
Absolutely, absolutely true. So you had the time really to delve into whatever you were doing, yoga, meditation, right food, veganism. Full time you were doing it, as you mentioned earlier, 12 hours a day, right?
That's right.
How a person who has like full-time job, has to work and all this kind of stuff, can heal themselves from cancer if they do not have the same time that you had?
Well, hopefully most people aren't in as dire a circumstance as I found myself in. And if they aren't, they have perhaps a capacity to keep on going. But we also have to make significant choices when we're faced with something that is life-threatening. All too often, we want to keep working full-time. We are fearful. We create more stress for ourselves, which inhibits greatly our capacity to heal. So if you're facing a tremendous challenge like this right now, you have to put yourself and your health as your number one priority and release fears about what's going to happen in terms of your finances or your occupation, because those things aren't going to matter if you succumb to what you're facing. So you have to find and you make the time. You know, I often hear people say, I don't have time to take care of my health. I can't find 10 minutes a day, much less 1 or 2 hours a day. And then I'll ask, well, how many hours a day do you watch television? Or perhaps do things on Facebook that you don't need to. Or maybe we go shopping when we don't really have anything to buy, just to distract ourselves from the stress we feel in our lives. And if we really look at our lives, for most of us, I think we can find the time to take care of ourselves. And when we do, everyone who loves us will be better off because we'll be more present for them for a longer period of time in the world.
Yeah, what is more important? To buy another fancy car or a piece of sneakers or your health? Besides that, none of this you're going to take with you, and none of this brings you happiness or health.
And that's why, you know, as you have said, and as I say too, and so many of us who have experienced profound healings realize that often the worst and most disastrous things that happen to us are the greatest blessings, because we reprioritize our lives and we suddenly realize that a lot of the things that we long for so much or cling to so tightly aren't important. And it brings us back to our soul, to a deeper place, a place of spirit, where we realize again what is truly important, and that's a profound shift. And all true healing has to happen on the level of the body and the mind and reconnecting with the spirit. These are three essential ingredients, I believe, for lasting healing.
Mind and spirit and the body. To connect, exactly, to connect, because we take the body for granted. We do not feed it correctly. We put all kind of fast food and junk in our body, and then we complain we are sick. Of course we are sick, because the body was not meant to put all this junk in it.
Mm-hmm.
Most
people really love their automobiles. And if we told them we would give them some gasoline that was really cheap and easy to get, but over time it would destroy the motor and the performance of the vehicle, they would say, "You are crazy. I would never do that to my car." And yet we do that to our bodies by eating bad food.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the, I'm telling you, this is so correct what you just said. They would not put cheap gasoline in their car, but they would eat all this junk food and all these medications, all these chemicals. I'm telling you.
I want to be nice here too in our interview to Western medicine. I think it has a role to play that's very important, especially when it comes to trauma. There's nobody better than our Western doctors if we're in a terrible accident. They really can put us back together and keep us infection-free. And Western medicine has made some incredible breakthroughs in a whole vast areas of medicine that have been extremely helpful. But we have come to rely on it to fix us for everything and to release ourselves of an obligation to take care of ourselves. And that's why we have such a great problem, I think.
Yeah, you see, we became brainwashed and we accepted it. And therefore, for little thing, we go to the doctor. I learned about myself that I don't take any medication, and anything that I take, even if I have pain, I handle it spiritually with many different exercises, and even Tylenol I don't take because it does not help me. Mm-hmm. It creates a havoc in my stomach, so I don't take any medication. But
and when you go into that peaceful place, Leah, and you handle something spiritually, what you are actually doing on a very divine level is you are self-medicating. Because when we're thinking negative thoughts, we're creating too much adrenaline and cortisol in our bodies, which diminishes our immune system and our capacity to maximize our metabolism of whatever nutrients we are eating in our diet. And when we go into states of grace and relaxation and gratitude and acceptance, we create different inner chemicals like anandamide and oxytocin and dopamine, the chemicals of an enhanced immune system, of greater metabolism of our nutrients, of recalibration of all of our organs, and it deeply promotes healing. So in a way, we are all alchemists. We all have the capacity to profoundly affect our inner chemistry by the thoughts that we choose to think and the experiences we choose to have in our lives.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Absolutely. We put the medical establishment on the pedestal. They have a place in the industry, as you mentioned earlier. But we have to take charge of our life and determine what would work for us. And you did that, and I really appreciate what you did and what you are doing right now.
I invite everybody listening out there to take charge earlier rather than later, because it can be very daunting and very difficult. And as you said, not all of us have 12 hours a day to devote to our healing. So anyone listening, you can start right now. And you may have already had some thoughts during this conversation about food that you eat that might not serve your body, or negative television that you watch that might not serve your mind, or times to get into nature a little more and walk a little more lightly on Mother Earth, especially because today is Earth Day. It's something to remember. And you've probably already had those thoughts listening to Leah and I speak here. And the sooner that you act on those thoughts, the more vibrant and healthy your life is going to be. And you will never look back if you embrace what you know at the soul level you really should do to bring yourself into body, mind, spirit balance.
Wonderfully. You say it so wonderfully, I'm telling you. Now, I wanted to ask you, we have 5 more minutes, and I would love to ask you, I'm really tempted to ask you, but I think I know the answer, but I'm still going to ask you anyway, okay?
Okay.
Do you ever want to go back to being a war correspondent?
Well, it's a great question. I loved that career more than anything in the world at the time. It completely identified who I was. It was richly rewarding on all levels to me. And I made a choice not to return, because when you go through something like this, you feel a calling at the soul level to share this with other people. And that's what I now, through deep yoga, devote my life to. And the financial reward for what I do now doesn't compare to what it was when I was with the network, but the emotional, philosophical, spiritual soul reward is so much greater. And even though I loved the news business, I don't watch it anymore, because to me it's devolved since the years I was in it, and has just become this terrible negativity hammering at home all the time. And I now know that when we expose ourselves to that constantly, it creates that adrenaline and cortisol in our bodies as if we were having those experiences ourselves, and it creates more stress. And whenever we're stressed, and this is the most stressed out culture that has ever been, and whenever we're stressed, we make bad decisions, and we're willing to do almost anything to get away from the pain of being us. And that leads to eating bad food, drinking too much alcohol, drugs, shopping for things we don't need. I call it looking for God in all the wrong places. When what we really need to do is stop all that and come home to our hearts and be grateful for what we have, and just turn the noise off and turn nature on in your life and watch what happens.
Wow. I mean, my God, you talk like a poetry. Okay, one more last question I have for you. First of all, how people can get hold of you if they want to learn more about you. Do you have a website? Would you like to mention your website?
Yes, they can go to Deep Yoga, deep like the deep water, deepyoga.com, and they'll find everything that we're doing. You know, I teach around the world and appear at various places and do workshops and seminars and lectures, and we have Mastery of Life trainings here at our home base in San Diego, our Deep Yoga School of Healing Arts. And they can learn more about my personal journey through the book Warrior Pose, How Yoga Literally Saved My Life. And I can share with you, Leah, that we just entered into an arrangement in 2016. The book will be made into a full-length feature film. So that's exciting, because we get to share this message with a wider audience as a result of that.
How exciting is that? I'm telling you. This is wonderful. By the way, my book is being made into a movie as well. We are looking for finance. Okay. So
fabulous. Maybe we can go to the theater together.
Wonderful. Let's get together, really. I would love to come to your Center Yoga in San Diego. I'm only 2 hours away from you.
Please come down and be my guest anytime.
Thank you so much. Okay, so my last question is, you changed your name to Bhava. What does it mean? Yeah,
from Brad Willis to Bhava Ram. It's an Indian name. It's a spiritual name. It means a pure state of being in the heart. And Leah and anyone listening, I don't think I'm always there 24/7. It's a good reminder of me to stay on my journey and to remind myself every day that I am embracing this. And some people think it's a little kooky to change your name, and that's okay with me. You know, I think if Lady Gaga and the Pope can change their names, and they're from radical different spectrums of life, that, you know, it's okay if I decide to as well, because I feel like the more egocentric and hard-driving type A person that I once was is no longer with us, and that, you know, I'm on a new journey, and this keeps me true to that commitment and reminds me every day that the more I can hold on to a pure state of being in the heart, the better I'll be able to serve other people.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful what you are doing. And I really so excited with you about changing your life so drastically to turn of 180 degrees to the other side in order to help humanity. And I really commend you for this job. So thank you very much, Brad or Bhava.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Thank
in
you.
India.
It's an honor to be with you.
And I would like you to be a guest on my show again. I have your phone number. Is it correct? 619-435-5067?
Now you've shared it with the whole world. Yes.
Okay. Is that a good idea?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I would love to be a guest with you again. It's been so nice to talk to you, Leah.
We are off the air.
Oh, okay.
The air.
Yes,
So
thank
don't
you very
worry
much.
about
I would love to. And you can reach me.
Now it's only you and I talking.
You can reach me at info@deepyoga.com too.
Okay.
Is your email bbakut@yahoo.com?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I'll send you a little email right now thanking you, and that we'll be in touch.
Wonderful. I would love that.
It's on its way.
Thanks so much, and I'll be in touch with you for another interview on my radio show, okay?
Thank you
Take care,
so
Brad.
much.